Welcome back to my channel. This is Christina with Medieval Romance, and I'm here with a beading tutorial for this beaded tassel cap earring. It may be a little bit noisy in the background. My husband is working on the outside of this room, on the outside, like the wood and stuff on the outside of it. So if you hear like a drill and a saw, that's what that noise is. So anyway, okay, so here's your materials list. This is a tassel. You will, as I start explaining it and working with it, you are going to fit your beads around this tassel. So it may, it's not the same size tassel as this. These are the ones that I showed you on the last video that came off of Amazon. They're about, I think, 3.5 inches. Yeah, 3.5 inches long, and that's including the little loop on the top. They're not very fat around. If you make your own tassel, like I did with, here, I've got them right here, with my daughter's mermaid earrings, you may need more to go around. So you may need a different count. But these are ones we're going to make today. And, okay, so you need a tassel. I'm using 4mm fire polish beads. These are turquoise with like a blue and bronze vitriol on it. 11 Delicas, and I have 2 different colors. That's because you need one for the little center of each section of netting. You could also use like one of the 1.5 by 2mm rondelles, or the little teeny tiny 1.5 2mm Bicones for those. I'm just going to use Delicas today, and I have them in, this is like a metallic blue, so it picks up the blues in this, in the fire polish, and then 11 Delica in dyed cinnamon, I believe, nickel plated dyed cinnamon. I'm loving this. I'm definitely gonna have to order some more of those. So, and then I'm using Wildfire and a size 12 beading needle. All right, so let's get started here. Get that off there. Hopefully, scoot this stuff out of the way here. And you could also use a 4mm bicone. That's what I was going to let y'all know. On these yellow ones that I believe I showed in one of the videos somewhere, I've used bicones. I've used 4mm bicones on this one here. So, like I said, and I think 2, 4, 6. Now, it did take more to go around that, and that's the same, excuse me, that's the same size tassel. But, oh, I was eating a piece of candy, a piece of chocolate. Okay, so let's get started. This is filled tubular netting, like we've been doing on the other tutorials. I'm going to pick up a metallic blue Delica, because that's going to be my center bead in each little section of netting. And for this particular one, I need 7 fire polish to go around. So I'm going to go ahead and get my 7 Delicas and my 7 fire polish threaded on here. Let's see how many I've got. 2, 4, 6. We need one more. Okay. Alright, now once you've got them all on there, this is what you should have. I hope I've been working in frame. I'm going to have to move stuff around a bit. Okay, we're going to thread it down here. You should have a Delica in between each one, so there should be a total of 7 Delicas and 7 fire polish. Now, like I said, this may vary on yours if you might need to adjust the count depending on how thick your tassel is. My hands are so dry, guys, and I put some oil on them before I started this video, and so everything is sliding out of my hands now. But I didn't want y'all to see my gross dry hands because they're bad. Nothing works. Absolutely nothing works on my hands. Okay, and now we're going to pull this through, and we've looped it back through all of the beads. We're going to leave ourselves a little tail that we can work back in. I'm gonna have to wipe these off because absolutely everything's sticking to them. Okay, and I don't know if y'all can hear the saw in the background, but he's cutting wood. I'm gonna pull it down so I've got enough of a tail that I can work it back into the beads a little bit. And then I'm gonna go ahead and tie. The surgeon's not here. Make sure it's gonna go down around here. Make sure it's gonna slide down around your tassel before you get to tying it too tight. And I go ahead and put it on the tassel while I'm working. So I could have put it around the tassel and tied it, which you probably should do. I didn't because I've already made one and I knew that it would fit around here easily. Okay, so we're basically doing filled tubular netting around the tassel. That's what we're doing. When we get to the top, we will have to decrease some, and it's going to be different for everybody. I'm going to show you how I decrease, but you will just use your best judgment and you know, just eyeball it and you'll figure it out. But yeah, when we get up there, I'll show you. Okay, so now we've tied my knot, or you've tied your knot. I'm going to make sure y'all can still see what I'm doing. I've got another little lamp over here. I'm trying to get a little bit better lighting, so I might be moving it around. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and go through a Delica, a fire polish, and through another Delica. Don't worry about this moving around too much on your tassel. Once we get a couple rows on, we're going to run our thread through the tassel to kind of anchor it, because you want it to be just below this banded area here, because you want to cover that up. You don't want that showing. So you don't want it to end up, you know, up there. And I'll show you once I get this banded part covered up, but it looks pretty with just the banded part covered up. So you could stop there, or you could continue on and top, you know, cover up the whole top. So it's a completed cap on this, but you'll see. Okay, so we're coming out of Delica. We're now going to pick up our other colored Delica. We're going to pick up 2, then a metallic blue, and then 2 cinnamon Delicas. And we're going to hop over to that next Delica in between these fire polish and go through just the Delica. Okay, and we're going to do that all the way around till we get back to our starting Delica. So I'm going to pick up 2 Delicas, a metallic, and then 2 Delicas. And I'm going to hop over to that next Delica here in between these fire polish, and I'm just going through the Delica. Okay, and I'm kind of, pull my tassel up in there. I'm kind of pushing them up a little bit as I go. That's not a huge issue, but I've noticed with the Bicones, if you're not pushing up your little netting pieces and they end up kind of being pushed out like this, and some are pushed up, when you go to add in your next row of Bicones, then some of them end up protruding out instead of laying nice and flat like these do. You'll have some that are protruding out of the netting. And I don't know if that's an issue with the count. Maybe I needed to add more netting, but I didn't like it because it didn't look really nice how it laid. So I would just be mindful of that as you're working around your tassel, to be pushing those little netting sections that you're creating up and inward into the tassel here, so that they are gonna lay nice and flat against the tassel. Okay, all right. Y'all go ahead and get that done. Meet me back when you get back around to the first Delica. So I'm just continuing to work all the way around here until I get back around to that starting delica. I'm adding on 5. If you're using smaller or a little bit larger bead, you may have to adjust how many beads you're putting around there. I'll pull that knot through the delica. Okay, so we're back around to our starting delica. I'll make sure that the camera is going again. Sorry guys, I'm still don't have a webcam, so I'm looking upside down here at the screen. Thought I had it paused a minute ago, so if I was really quiet, it wasn't working, I apologize. And I was like, maybe I should start talking. Okay, so I'm gonna go on my last little section. I'm going through that delica we started with. I'm gonna pull my loop up through there, and if you can all at the same time, that very first little netting section that you created, you can run it up through that those delicas there to come out your center delica, which is where you're going to want to be coming out of. That's stepping up so that you can add in your next row of fire polish or Bicones, whatever you're working with. We're working with fire polish right now, so. Okay, and I'm going to start adding on my fire polish. I'm exiting the top, that delica there, and I'm going to hop over to this next section, this next delica right here. Hope y'all can see it good. All right, and you're going to continue around all the way around the piece, adding on your fire polish that way. So picking up another fire polish, hopping over to this next delica here. I'm adding my fire polish on all the way around. I probably could have turned on my air conditioning. I turned off. It's not too hot for me yet this morning, so I turn off my air conditionings in the morning, and then towards the late afternoon, early evening, I flip it back on. But it helps drown out some sound, some of that background noise. I figure it's not picking up. It's all my my kids are all in there on YouTube. That's how I keep them busy while I do this. All right, now we're back around to our starting delica. We're on this last section. I'm adding on my last fire polish here, and I'm hopping over and going through that first delica that we started with. I'm gonna go ahead and pass through that first fire polish and through that next delica on the other side there. So, okay, and that just gives a little bit more stability. So when I start on my next row, it's not sliding, loosening up on me too much. So I've got that little bit extra going through there. I'm going to go ahead, since I know that this is where I want this to lay, I'm going to take my needle and I'm going to pass it straight through this band here. And I want it to come out kind of low, so it's almost hitting this, because then I'm going to thread my thread back through one of those fire polishes to be coming out of a delica. But this is going to anchor this, and don't pull it too tight, because like I just did here, because then it's going to pull your work in and kind of squish it down, and it's not going to lay right. So if you did that, just kind of loosen that thread up there. Okay, so I'm coming out right here, and I'm going to go ahead and thread it through that fire polish and come out the delica in the middle, so that I can start my next round. And that's just going to kind of anchor this in place so it's not sliding up and down on me so much. And it's still movable. You can still move it around since you've just got that one in there and you've not pulled it real tight. So it's not squishing your work in. And it'll just make it easier as you work around the tassel. Okay, so we're going to do our next row of netting. And I'm picking up 2 Delicas, a blue Delica, and 2 more Delicas for a total of 5 Delicas. I'm hopping over in between these. Oh my goodness, there's flung those off there. I'm hopping. I've got my mat propped up on some beading containers, and I feel like I'm up in the air working so that I can get the computer closer. But it is making it difficult, definitely. Okay, so I'm hopping over to this other side, to that Delica that is in between the fire polish, and making my next little section of netting. And I'm just going to push it up there a little bit. You don't have to pull on it too tight. It's not going to stay up there. But as long as it's kind of up around it, your piece should lay fine. And like I said, you may not have that issue with the fire polish that I had with the Bicones due to their shape. But just to be on the safe side, I'd be mindful and try to keep them kind of pushed inward, your little sections of netting you're creating. Okay, so I'm going to continue this all the way around. And if I actually get the video paused this time, meet me back when you get back to your last little section. Okay, now I'm on my last section. I have threaded on my 5 Delicas here. I'm hopping over to this first Delica we started with. I'm going to go up through that. I'm going to go ahead and go up through those next 2 Delicas and come out through that third one there in the middle. If you can get it all in one shot, go ahead. You can't, it's okay. You just want to be able to get up to that top point of your center of that little piece of netting in your Delica. Okay, and now we're going to add on another row of fire polish. So I'm going to grab my fire polish. I'm going to hop over to this next Delica and go through there. And I'm going to continue around the piece, adding in that row of fire polish there. Okay, I'm going to let y'all get up to the point where your tassel starts to bend inward. So when it starts to round up where your, I guess the end of your tassel is going to be. So mine's going to be at this loop. I'm going to stop when I get about right here on my tassel. So I think it'll probably be, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 3 more rows for me. You can check back in. I will check back in when I get to that point. Everybody's going to be different because you probably are not going to have the exact same tassel as me. And you may already be to that point if you're using a smaller tassel. Okay, so I'm going to continue around until I get to this point when we start doing the decrease, and I will meet you back. Okay guys, I am back, and I am going around on my last section. Right here is where I'm going to, the next row that I add on, I'm going to do my decrease. So I'm just going around here and finishing up my last row of netting. But I thought y'all want to see about where I look and decide that it's time to decrease so that I will be able to cinch in the top of my tassel. And like I said, you could have stopped. This ended up being 5 full rows for me on my tassel. You could have stopped, you know, at 3 rows and just have covered up the band, and that still would have made a really cute earring, which I probably will end up making some like that as well. But for this tutorial, we are going to cover up the top. I also forgot to mention at the beginning, you will need an O-ring, and an earring wire, whatever your preference is. I was like, I'm sure they probably figured that out, but once I get to that point, I was like, oh yeah, I probably will need that. And I thought I had done so good in everything out. Okay, so just like you've been adding on your other sections, we're coming out the top of the point of that Delica there. That little netting section here. Okay, so my string's coming out of there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to skip every other one. And so I'm going to show you, I'm going to do a fire polish. And I'm going to hop over to that next Delica and go through it. Now, I know that since it's an uneven number, you will end up having to fire polish beside each other in some section. So I think I'll go ahead right here since it's going to be, let's see, on the side of my earring. Let me see how my earring hangs once I get the earring wire on there. Okay, no, it will be on the side. Okay, we're not going to do two. Okay, so I'm going to do my fire polish. And then on the this section that you are technically skipping, you're not going to do a fire polish. I'm going to put a bronze Delica or a cinnamon Delica, a metallic blue, and a cinnamon. So I'm going to put a total of 3 Delicas in place of a fire polish. And I'm going to hop over to that next point of our netting and cinch it in there some. Okay, and now I'm going to go ahead and put on a fire polish for this section and hop over to that next point of netting, and you're cinching it in. Okay, same thing. We're going to do 3 Delicas now. Okay, now fire polish. And then a section with the Delicas instead of the fire polish. And now that we've passed through this, we're on our last section, and it's going to be a fire polish. So right here is where we're going to end up having 2 fire polish beads side by side. I promise it's not going to make a difference. I'm going to go ahead and go through that beginning Delica through the next fire polish, and I'm going to come out through that next Delica beside it. Okay. So that's right here is where I'm coming out of. Right. Hopefully y'all can see it all right. Okay, now over the top of the section of Delicas that we put in place of the fire polish, we are still going to add on 5 Delicas, just like before. So we're treating it like it is a fire polish bead there. So I'm doing 2 cinnamon Delicas, a metallic blue, and then 2 cinnamon Delicas for a total of 5. I'm hopping over to that next Delica right beside my fire polish bead, just like if this were a fire polish bead on here. I'm treating it just like a fire polish. Okay. So now we're coming out that Delica there. We're going to add on our 5 beads for our knitting section. And we're going to hop over to that Delica beside the fire polish. That's right past the fire polish. Don't accidentally hop over to the middle of your netting if you used a different color like I did. You could have just put, I could have also just put 3 cinnamon Delicas there, as opposed to doing the metallic one, if you think it might confuse you, and just kept it the 3 solid Delica colors. But I did not do that. So, all right, we're going to continue this way all the way around until we get back to our starting Delica. Okay, and then I'll show you what to do from there. Okay, I'm back and I've stepped up. I went through my last Delica, which was our beginning Delica. I've stepped up, come up through the top of that netting piece, and I'm coming out of the tip of this piece of netting. I'm going to try to push in my Delicas as much as I can because we're going to start cinching it in. This is where you can kind of adjust and decide about if you want it to, your little piece to scooch up a little bit. And I think I'm going to keep mine about where it is. Okay, now we're going to add 2 Delicas in between each section. No more fire polish. So just 2 Delicas. Be careful when you're tightening because you're going to have to go around this again to get it more stable, stronger. Okay, so I'm just hopping through each of the tips of my netting. Just those Delicas there, and I'm going all the way through here on each section. Now, this next part that we're going to do is design preference. I'm going to do another row on this, which I'll show you how to do. Oh, I'm stuck on my container that's underneath here. Make sure I got my beads. Okay. So once you get back around to your starting Delica, which I'm fixing to go through, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to go all the way around these one more time just to get it nice and tight, and I'm going to push it in as I do it. Okay, and I want this top covered up a little bit more. It honestly does not make a huge difference. Like I said, it is personal preference, your personal design taste. Oh my goodness. My needle, I have bent it and it is just not working with me here. Get it through there. There we go. Okay. So, like I said, I knocked my soda over. Look, had a lid. Personal design taste. You can see quite a bit of the top of this tassel steel. And looking at it like this, and when it's hanging on your ear, you're not going to be able to see that. And I don't think anyone else is going to care either. But for me personally, I think it looks cleaner if you go around and do one more row before you can do that, just to be on the safe side. I'm going to go ahead and add on my O-ring here, just so that I've got it in place. So if I was to start cinching up around it, it doesn't cause me any issues trying to put it on afterwards, which I think I'm fine. I know with my other ones, I had to put this on. So it just depends on each tassel, the bead size, how far you come up. Okay, so I'm coming out of that top Delica. Fuzzies are sticking all over me. I have a white furry blanket that I do a lot of my package opening videos and use in those videos. And since I've got that all in my hands, that white little sticky fuzzies everywhere. Okay, so I'm going to come around because see, this is a lot more closed in as opposed to this. You can still see some of the top of the tassel. And I don't want to see the top of the tassel. I want to see all beads so it looks like a completed bead cap. So what I did was I went around each one of these little sections and I did another thing of netting, but I only used 3 beads. So that's what we're going to do. We're coming out of this Delica and we're treating this section as if it were a fire polish bead. Okay, so I'm going to add on 1 Delica a metallic blue, and another Delica for a total of 3 beads as opposed to 5. I'm going to hop over to that next Delica as if it were a Delica on the other side of a fire polish, but remember, we did 2 Delicas in place of a fire polish to create my little section of netting. And I'm going to do this all the way around. If your hoop gets in the way, just push it over to the other side so it's not bothering you. Oh, I started to put on 5. See there? I can't talk and work. All right. There's just so many things you can do with this stitch. So many ideas. I don't know if y'all saw a couple days, maybe yesterday, Potomac Bead Company. They did a ballerina necklace, and it was stunning, but they used, and I believe Allie was the designer on that one, they used this tubular netting stitch and tubular peyote, and it is absolutely gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. And very more intricate than what I'm showing y'all right now. I think I'll probably play around and try to follow it. If I have all the different size beads, it uses a ton of different size beads, but it is just gorgeous. You'll have to hop on over to their channel if you don't already follow them and check it out. But there's just so many ideas that you can come up with and use these for, especially using them as like a bead cap, and like I'm using it as like a capped tassel, beaded tassel. I think I'm gonna put some of these maybe on keychains. I think that'd be a really cute keychain as well. I made some boho tassel charms a couple of years back. I loved them. I made them with lace and different ribbons, and my kids put them on their backpacks, and they were super cute. And I think that something like this would be cute in that, or to cap my tassel, my lace and ribbon tassel with the beads. So that I will probably be trying, and I don't know if I'll show y'all a tutorial on it because it'd be the same concept unless you want to know how to make the boho tassel. And I actually have one on my keys, but it's kind of dirty. I've had it on there for like 2 or 3 years. Okay, so we've went through our last Delica, and now I've stepped up into my netting that we just made. So I'm coming out of that center Delica there, that centerpiece of the tassel netting, and we are going to add on our last row, which all I did here was in place of a fire polish, we're going to go through and we're going to add on 1 Delica now. So I'm just adding on 1 Delica in between each of these tips of netting, and that's going to finish off this piece. That's going to cinch it all in and close it. Let me throw my O-ring out of the way. And then we will start working our thread through the piece, stabilizing this and making it stronger. Now you can go through and you can add with this extra thread. I do recommend going through and stabilizing it, making the piece stronger. But with the leftover thread, you could also go down to the bottom and add on little fringes or loops to hang charms on, or little briolets, maybe even like 4 little briolets, kind of, like in a square shape. That would be cute around the piece. I haven't done that with the other one, so I'm not going to do that with this earring. But when I do my finished jewelry piece, I will definitely have one to show you as an example on there. So, and you can go through and peyote this. If you wanted this to come in and close it even more, you could start going around in a circle and just doing circular tubular peyote to cinch it in more. Maybe even get some 15-0s. You're just gonna have to be cautious with your O-ring there that you don't get it stuck in there where you can't work around with it. So I'm going back around here real fast. I'm gonna tighten this up, and then I will meet y'all back to show you how to work in your threads. Okay guys, I've worked stabilized up here at the top, around the top of the earring, and now I've worked some of my thread down through here. I was going to show you, I'm going to pass my thread through this tassel about at the center, maybe a little bit lower than the center, and if you recall, that's where that band around the tassel is. So I'm coming out of a Delica here, and I'm going to put my needle straight down through that piece, and my needle's bent so it's coming out weird, and try to just go straight across. It doesn't matter if it comes out straight across, but you want it to come out at a section where, you know, you could go right back through another bead and continue working, and you're not going to have any threads show. So I'm going to run my thread through a couple more Delicas here. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go ahead, and I wouldn't pull too tight. This is just helping stabilize this piece up a little bit more. But I would not pull really tight on that thread that you're pulling through. Otherwise, it's going to suck your beads, your netting, whatever section that your string was coming out of. It's going to pull that through and make it really tight, and it's not going to lay nice on the piece. So, like I said, I'm going to do that a couple times in a couple different sections as I work my stuff, my thread down through here. And then I'm going to, I think this is going to be my last little section here. I'm going to go through here, and then I'm going to run him through some Delicas here. Let's see if I can get it to come out. You may have to kind of wiggle it here until it can find a spot to come out, and don't force it because you don't want to accidentally break a bead. Okay, I think I'm done working this one in. So after you feel confident that you've got this piece nice and stabilized and worked those threads through there, tightening stuff up, just go ahead and cut them off. Run them down through some Delicas and cut it off there. Now I'm going to go back down here, and I'm going to thread my needle. Get him off here. Oh, I've got another one right here. He's nice and bent too. I'm going to thread my needle onto this, my tail. Maybe he's all funky looking here. There we go. I bought some Toho thread that was on sale. I don't know if any of y'all have ever had any experience with that. If you have, leave a comment down in the bottom for me and let me know your opinion on it. I like it, but I don't feel like it's very strong. And it's got a lot of play in the thread. It's almost kind of elasticy. Okay, so I've got my tail threaded on here. And I am just going to start working him in through these Delicas. You can go ahead and pass him through the tassel too. I'd be careful. I wouldn't pass him down too low, just because you're going to want to pass through the band part and not accidentally get it down through some of this, and at some point that thread show, you know. So just be mindful of that. Going to continue around. I'm just going to work mine through these Delicas, I think. Strengthening it up here. If my hands, hopefully they're not showing up on cameras looking too stained. They're so dry. And then last night we made carnitas, and I had to the seasoning that you work into the meat is red, and my hands were all stained, and it got in all of like my dry skin creases, and it just looks awful. It takes a couple of days before it actually cleans out of all of that dry skin. So I'm just working mine down through in this whole bottom row here, just strengthening it up. And I have a little section of Delicas right here that's kind of sucked in, and I want to pull them back forward. So if that happens, definitely with your extra string here, your extra thread, work your way over it, and once you come up through it, it should help pop it up. If it's like down behind the fire polish or Bicone, whatever you've used, which is the case here. And so I'm going to get him up here. Yep, and there we go. We got him popped forward again, and it kind of helped push that fire polish back where it was supposed to be. He decided to get out of order. Okay, and I think that I'm going to go ahead and cut him off now. All right, and now we have our beaded tassel earring, and we've got our O-ring up here. I'm just going to go ahead and add on my earring wire, and you have your beautiful beaded tassel earrings. And this was not complicated at all. You feel free to play around with this. Put different size beads in there, different kinds of beads, like I did on my daughter's earrings. There's three different, right here, there's 3 different kinds of beads in here. There's pearls, and I did like 3 rows of the pearls, and then there's teal and metallic blue, but this was a fatter top. So I was able to, but I mean, like I said, you still could have done that with this. You could have had 1 strand of pearls that ran all the way through here, kind of like a swirl. You could even make a pattern in here. I tried to do that on my cathedral windows bracelet, but they were such tiny components, it didn't really work out. But you could get sections of pearls that formed little diamonds throughout this piece, you know, and that would be stunning. Yeah, I may have to do that, but yeah. Okay, so here's your earrings. Here's your finished earrings. Well, you'll have to go make your second one, but there they are. And they are beautiful. I just love them. They're unique. They look very fancy, and they look really nice on. Really, really nice on. Especially, they're very definitely a statement earring. Nice, long, elegant earring. So if you, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I hope you could see it better. So if you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel so that you can see my new content when it comes out. And as always, stay safe and have a great time beading. Bye.